Hi everyone, Jonathan J. Reinhardt here from Wargaming Recon coming at you with another pandemic coffee break. Today is June 9th in 2020, and I am lucky enough to get to work from home most of the time. And just like when I'm at work, but not now because of the pandemic, I'm taking a coffee break and I'm spending it with you. So I have my favorite beverage here. I have some decaf Earl Grey tea, cream, and Splenda. I hope you have your favorite beverage with you and that you will leave a comment for us to let us know that you are here with us, whether you're watching live or afterwards. Just kind of fun to uh, immerse yourself into the pandemic coffee break. So I want to start off by just letting you know that today's pandemic coffee break is almost exclusively, not completely, but almost exclusively going to be talking about mental health and how to get mental health help and some mental health resources. And because of all that, I want to make sure that you all know I'm not a medical professional. I'm not giving medical advice. If you need medical help, please seek a trained medical professional, a doctor, a therapist, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, someone who's actually trained in all this stuff who can help you. Please reach out to them. And then if you are in crisis, and I'm going to go over this again later, if you're in crisis and you need help right now, you can go ahead and get in touch with emergency personnel by calling 911 in the United States or 999 in the United Kingdom and so forth. So please don't be afraid. Get the help you need, no matter what it is, and things will work out. So, uh, with that said, before I dive into the medical stuff, I actually want to show you a little bit of some good news from Crossroad Games. So let's head on over to Crossroad Games, who is a vendor at Total Confusion, and they are some of my favorite people around. So you can see right here that they reopened on June 5th, 2020, and they got some hours here. And they're showing on their Facebook page. Mondays and Fridays open from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Saturdays and Sundays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then they have some policies here. It says that they allow in-store browsing for 5 customers. I believe the 5 people that are allowed in the store includes employees. So, for example, when Brendan's working, who's the owner, he's one of the 5, so that means 4 other people can come in. The game room and premium rooms are not open to the public. I believe there's no events at this time. They've done the smart thing that a lot of places have done, including my work, of marking on the floor in 6-foot intervals. So at my work, we use duct tape because why not? And little X's to kind of show. They say that there's hand sanitizer, which is available at the front counter for everyone to use, and that everyone has to wear a mask in the store. And if you don't have one, they do have some that they can supply to you to make it available there for everyone. So that way you can do some shopping and be safe and everything. And I actually thought it might be kind of neat if we heard from Brendan himself. So he put a video up this past Friday, and I just want to play you a little clip of his video so that you can go ahead and hear some of his thoughts about what it was like to go back to the store for the first time. So here we go. So this is his video right here. And I'm just going to play it for all of you so you can just hear a few things that he has to say.
The everyone, people started showing up before 3 o'clock, but it was not crowded. Nick Shaw and his crew came in a little bit early, and I cheated and let them in a little bit early. And then it was basically steady, but not overwhelming all day long. I don't think anyone had to wait. We had a 5-person limit, and that included me. I don't think there was ever any waiting. Maybe some couple minutes or so. But it was great to see everyone. It was great to see everyone. Talk to them briefly, and thanks for coming in, Ed. You are our first official. These are our normal hours customer. So it was good to see people, but it also was odd to be back sort of working at the store. those muscles, that sort of muscle memory is has been atrophied. And although it was like riding a bike, don't get me wrong, today was easy, right? I've done this. If I've been doing this for 20 years.
So that's just a little snippet from Brendan over there at Crossroad Games in Maine. And I want to share with you for a few reasons. First of all, in case you're in the area and you want to go up and support Crossroad Games, they are a fantastic company, great game store, and so you can go and get some good product. Brendan's a wonderful person, and I think they do great work up there. But also because I think you'll find that as your own game stores open, that there will be similar situations happening. So, of course, the social distancing, which I hate the phrase because we're not being socially distant, right? We're trying to be physically distant, but that and the precautions, hand sanitizer, washing your hands, the masks, and so forth. But that feeling there, right? That Brendan said, he said it was great seeing everyone, and he wasn't just like it was great seeing one. Like you could tell, it was like it was great seeing everyone because it really meant a lot to him. So these people, right? These game stores tend to be third spaces for people. The phrase maybe we don't hear so much about anymore, but third space is a place in which we have our works in our home, but it's another place where we can kind of be and hang out and have a social situation where we feel like we belong. The now old, I guess, for people, but TV show Cheers, right? From the bar in Boston, Cheers was the third space for the people who went there. So for a lot of us, a game store is our third space. It's our home away from home. And you form these bonds with the people you see there, with the regulars, with the owners, with the employees. You can see that's what Brendan was talking about there. So you can see that when we go to our game stores again, as things are slowly reopening, you're going to have that where you can be like, oh, it's so good to see people. But then also, you can tell that Brendan was saying how things atrophied a little. Like he didn't have that muscle memory because he hadn't been doing it for so long. And I read, and maybe I'm reading too much, but I read like a moment's hesitation of like, oh my goodness, what's it going to be like? But then it quickly passes. And he said it was like riding a bike, which doesn't work for me because I don't know how to ride a bike. But that it came back to him. And so it's just like doing something that you loved and went back to riding quick and easy. But you have that moment where it's like, this is weird, right? So what do we do? And this, I feel, kind of plays into today's topic of mental health. Now, before I get into it, I do just want to welcome people who are in the chat and pull out some comments here. So we have Chatty here saying, good for you. Hello, Chatty. Thank you so much. And Robert says, good morning. Good morning, Robert. We have Mike Payne saying, good morning. Hello, Mike. Court is here saying, hurrah! Hooray to you, Court. Carl's here. Hey, Carl from TotalCon Convention. Carl, thank you so much. And your little one is more adorable every single day. Thank you for being here. I'm looking forward to when we can be at TotalCon next year, whatever that looks like. And no one knows, right? I know Angela is going crazy trying to figure that out. Mark, thank you so much for joining us. Good morning to you. Dave, good morning, Dave. Thank you for being here. And we have Jamie here. Afternoon. Good afternoon. And Mike says, you don't know how to ride a bike. No, I don't. I also can't roller skate, can't rollerblade, can't use a scooter, can't jump rope. I think those are most of my not most, but those are some of my childhood failings. So let's dive into mental health right now. So I've kind of been doing a lot here. And part of the whole purpose of the pandemic coffee breaks have been to kind of break down that sense of isolation, which can really impair one's mental health. And with the pandemic, it's hard, right? We're all going through something, the likes of which we probably haven't encountered ever before. And whether we want to admit it or not, I think we're all struggling with some sort of mental health issues. And I know some people think that gamers in general, from the broader tabletop gaming hobby, are maybe more inclined or tend to have more mental health issues than other people. And I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not going to make that statement. But I think that there's a need for mental health help. And so that's also why here we're going to recon. We've had this whole 2020 year as the year of mental health. And even throughout our history, we've done a lot of content about mental health. So, for example, I want to remind all of you that episode 245 of the podcast, Gaming for Mental Health, featured a college professor of mine, Dr. Alan Hunter, who came on and he talked about the importance of mental health and how you can improve mental health with tabletop games. And so that was really interesting to have. And then we've also had episodes in the past where, like, I talked about my anxiety, and Joshua Schubert has talked about his depression, and we've done a bunch of that. But what can you do if you're encountering mental health problems right now? So there are a few things that can be done, right? And again, I need to stress yet again, just to make sure that you all know, uh, I'm not a medical professional. Do not hold me accountable. Do not sue me, please. Get help from a real medical professional. But this is in my experience based on the information that I've seen. So, first of all, there's a whole broadness to mental health. There could be things from anxiety and panicking to depression to suicidal thoughts, suicidal plans, to actual attempts, and everything in between. And really, there's a lot of severity here depending on where you are. And one of the things that can be really helpful is to try to self-diagnose how depressed you might be. So I'm actually going to show you something now. We're going to go to this new thing that I just learned how to do, which is to make my phone show up on the computer, which I was really proud of. So I have a bunch of apps here. I'm using an iPhone, but a lot of these are on other platforms as well, that can kind of help with different aspects of mental health. So this one, D-Test, for example, and let me see if I can make it a little bigger for all of you right here. So this, of course, is not the same as having a licensed person do this, but this is like kind of a self-reporting sort of thing. You can take the test and it walks you through. It says, in every life, we have some trouble. When you worry, you make it double. Don't worry, be happy, Bobby McFerrin. So if you tap on Let's Start, and it wants you to think about over the last 2 weeks, how have you felt about the following things? How often have you been bothered? Little interest or pleasure in doing things. You can tap on whatever is appropriate. I'm just going to tap on stuff to make it go through. Feeling down, depressed, or hopeless. Trouble falling or staying asleep or sleeping too much. Feeling tired or having little energy. Poor appetite or overeating. Feeling bad about yourself or that you are a failure or have let yourself or your family down. Trouble concentrating on things such as reading the newspaper or watching television. Or maybe trouble concentrating on your hobby, painting. Moving or speaking so slowly that other people could have noticed. Or the opposite, being so fidgety or restless that you have been moving around a lot more than usual. Thought that you would be better off dead or of hurting yourself in some way. And then it gives you this thing where lets you know whether you have minimal depression, moderate, or high. And again, this is not clinical, so this is just kind of you thinking, oh, well, what are you, how are you feeling? But this is a kind of a nice way to get a baseline for yourself for things. Now, I have to say that if you feel that you are ready, you might really want to consider talking to a professional. And I know that's not always an option, depending on where you're at. There's a lot of therapists out there. There's a lot of psychologists and psychiatrists. And you can do some searching online to find people in your area for that. Psychology Today is a great publication about people in the mental health field. So if you go to psychologytoday.com, I believe they have searches there for stuff. And that might only be in the US. I'm not sure about abroad. But let me show you some stuff for if you want to find someone and you are absolutely in crisis. And when I say in crisis, this tends to mean in mental health that you are likely to hurt yourself, or that you are just so overwhelmed by things that something good might not happen. So I want to show you over here. I got a lot of these windows open. So if you're in England, in the UK, we have, you have rather, the National Help, the NHS. You have, once I get to it, has this whole section of their website called Help for Suicidal Thoughts. And they strongly recommend that you phone someone. So you can call the Samaritans. They're open 24 hours a day. They're free. There's an email as well. There's a phone number you would call, 116-123. Campaign Against Living Miserably. This is for men, 5 p.m. to midnight every day. They have a web chat option. Papyrus is for people under 35. And Childline is for kids and people under 19. And they give some information here. It says, talk to someone you trust, family or friends, let them know what's going on with you. And you can talk to your general practitioner. You can call 111 out of hours, and they'll get some help. And if you already have a team in place, contact them. And then they also have information here about what to do if you are really on the edge. And then here's some tips for coping. And this tends to be not just for the UK, but this is common everywhere. Don't think about the future. Just get through what's going on. Don't drink. Don't use any drugs. Stay somewhere safe, away from things that might hurt yourself, but also be near people. This is a big one for depression. Do something that you usually enjoy, something that makes you happy. So if like going for a walk makes you happy, go do that. If reading a book makes you happy, for me, music plays a big part in my mental health. So I listen to a lot of music. And if you're worried about someone else, they have a whole thing here about what to do. I'm going to drop this website into the chat for people that might need it. So if you're in the UK, this is a really important thing here. And then they also have a whole thing about making a safety plan, ways to stay safe, what you're going to do. Your safety plan also includes who you'll reach out to, loved ones, family, doctors, people you're in touch with. There's a similar thing here for the US, which I want to show you. We're going to be doing a lot of screen sharing today. So let me, where'd it go? Here we go. So the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. There's a phone number here. This works in the US, and it might work elsewhere. I'm not 100% positive, but 1-800-273-8255. And then they also have, if you scroll down a little bit, or a lot, they have a live chat feature. So if you click on this, and I'm sorry, I'm going to have to change screens because it opens in a new tab, which is annoying, but they just want to serve people, and they weren't thinking about what I needed. It comes to a chat here. This is 24/7 across the US for the live chat. You have to agree to the terms. You enter a zip code, and then it finds someone in your area. And there's going to be a wait time, and then you'll be able to talk with them online. So this is something, obviously, this is for when you're feeling overwhelmed or really desperate, or in crisis, is a better phrase. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to use desperate. But this is a way that you can do it remotely, securely, anonymously, and that way you can try to get some help from there. And then there's also help, of course, as I'm getting to it, in Canada, because I know we have some Canadian people who are in our audience. So over here is Crisis Services Canada. They have a phone number, 1-833-456-4566, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can also send a text to 45645 from 4 p.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time. And they don't have a chat right now, but they do talk about some options that they have. And it's just really good resources. So that is if you're, again, overwhelmed, or if you're feeling like you're in crisis. But what can you do if you are but if you are needing some type of mental health, but you're not in crisis? So I want to jump back to showing some of these apps on my phone. Okay, so there's a few things here. Now, one of the newish things that's kind of in vogue right now is remote mental health. So, like with the pandemic, I mean, I see a therapist, and I've told people, and I do that online through video chat. They have this whole thing set up where I do that, but some people can't or don't want to do that. So you can get it through your phone. So there's a couple options out right now. This one called Talkspace, and you sign up here, and you can see they have information here where you get matched to a therapist, and you can send text, you can do audio and video messages. You get at least one response per day, and you can get matched. So there's this whole thing where you sign up and you do whatever. Uh, there is a fee for this, and that is the thing I can't recall what the cost is. So I'm actually going to take a moment to look that up. And while I do that, here we go. I'm just on their website looking up what the costs are. So they have it's a subscription service. They have plans that range from $65 to $100 per week. You can cancel anytime. So I know that's not exactly cheap, but it is an option for people that you can do and get that going if you so choose. Now, another main option out there for people is BetterHelp. Now, BetterHelp is a similar kind of thing. This is like the big daddy of them all, where you can go and you can get help for depression, stress, anxieties, self-esteem issues, grief, relationships, anger. They cover all sorts of stuff, and they have been covered by New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Chicago Tribune, Entrepreneur. I mean, this one is probably the one that gets the most kind of play. Now, with this one, it costs anywhere from $60 to $80 per week that you can get billed monthly. And again, this one is another case where you go through, they have licensed therapists who can help you. And this just kind of tells you what they have here. So there's like a survey that you'll end up filling out that will help them match you to someone. And you can text as often as you want. You probably only get replies once or twice a day, I believe. And then here's options here. So one of the neat things with this one is they have someone who can walk you through it. So you can say, oh, well, I need counseling for myself. And then they want to know what your gender is. Well, I'm a male. You can choose your age. So a thing. You can say what you are. If you're religious, if you're married, what religion you belong to. Do you need someone who has faith-based counseling, which is important for some people? You consider yourself spiritual. Have you been in counseling before? Is your mental health being impacted by the COVID outbreak? When was the last time that you had plans for suicide? Are you having anxiety, panic attacks, or phobias? And then it gives a little description, what it is. Are you taking any medication? Do you have any chronic pain? What's your financial status? And I should say BetterHelp Help has a thing where if you have financial issues and you might not be able to pay, they have money that kind of helps out with stuff. What's your sleeping habits? What type of Christian are you? And it goes on and on. But the important thing here to keep in mind with BetterHelp, and I believe it's the same with the other one, Talkspace, is that you don't know which therapist you're going to get, right? So it may not be a great fit, but it may be a good one, and it's easy to switch. So this is an option you can do from your smartphone, and you can make it work. that way. So that is kind of helpful for people. So that way you can, if you want to be discreet, maybe your partner isn't supportive of you getting mental health help, or maybe you're worried about stigma attached to it, or maybe it impacts your job or your home life or your friends or whatever. These are things that you can do. And then there's one other thing that's not really, it's for mental health, but it's not really like, it's not a therapist, and it's Headspace. So Headspace is a thing where you can go, and it does meditation. I like it for sleep stuff. Uh, but you can go ahead and they have all sorts of meditations that you can do to try to help you deal with things like anxiety, the basics of stuff. And we've talked about Headspace before. It's also not free. There's a free one called Calm that you can get, which is another app, and it's really helpful and useful for people. And so then these are some other ones I found: Wysa and Uper. I haven't done a lot of looking into them, but those are options that you might want to consider as well. And then lastly, with all this, I want to tell you that um, this is something I wrestled with a lot. But here at Working Recon, one of the things that I've done just kind of privately is there are numerous people who are part of our community here with whom I've formed friendships. And we just kind of have like an informal support group, really, kind of where it's one on one and we just kind of check in on each other. Not everyone knows who the other people are. And it's just kind of nice to get in touch and share our worries and our frustrations and the good and the bad. If you've been in any sort of like business situation, you might have belonged to what they call a mastermind group, where it's people with similar goals and situations that are supportive of one another. And so that's just something that I've been kind of doing informally. And if that's something that people are interested in, maybe we can kind of try to make that more of a thing that Wargaming Recon does, but with the understanding, of course, that none of us are medical professionals. None of us are trained in any of this. None of us want to get sued for any of this. It's not medical advice. And that really your mileage is going to vary, and most likely it would all be done via text and or on Facebook messages. But if that's something that's of interest, if you just need to get a load off your chest, I'm here, and other people are. So reach out, and that's okay. I know things are hard, and I'm gonna make what might be a very sexist remark, based off stereotypes. So I want to warn you. But I'm going to say, go on a limb and say that a majority of historical tabletop wargamers are male, and that at least in America and probably in the Western world, the stereotype is that males are not supposed to share their emotions and their feelings and supposed to keep it bottled up, that it's unmanly to do otherwise. And that may not be true. It may not be true for you. And I find that it's helpful to kind of buck that trend and to release it. There's many ways you can do it. You can work with your hands, you can paint, you can do all sorts of stuff, but talking is good too. So if you need someone who's unbiased, someone who's not going to judge you, someone who's not in the situation, not a family member or coworker or whatever, there's therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists who can do it. And like I said, just here to support people. So those are things that I think are worth interest of value to everyone. And then I want to share a couple of things. First, I got to do a plug because we have to stay on the air. So I want to remind all of you, and I'm going to be showing it in a second once I pull it up. We have merch. Go to wargamingrecon.bigcartel.com and you can buy our merch, which we have here. So you can get some pretty cool things that we have. You can get duffel bags that we have, which are awesome. I've talked about them before. They're $20. Black duffel bag, nylon, fits a lot of stuff. Has a shoulder strap, a handle as well. Ships to a variety of places. We have men's black polo shirts, sizes small to 5XL. They cost $30. Our classic t-shirt with our logo on it. It's black. Men or unisex sizes small to 3XL starts at $15. American, and then the women's sizes the women's black t-shirt size is small to 2XL starts at 19 and ships to a variety of places. If you are in Europe or Canada, for example, and you're interested in any of this, please let us know because we want to try to work out shipping options to there and get pricing and all that kind of stuff. So we want to work with you. Please email Jonathan at wargamingrecon.com for that. Uh, and then I want to share, and this might not be everyone's taste. So this is also a good time to do it at the end in case any of you want to bunk off. I understand. I'm going to share a video from a musical, a song that I think is really helpful. It's all about mental health. And I also just want to remind you that yesterday, our new podcast episode, Roby Jenkins Game Designer, dropped. So you can get it at wargamingrecon.com, or if you subscribe to us, iTunes or wherever podcasts are, you have it. So give it a listen. Roby talks about game design and his just all his stuff that he's doing there. And so it's really cool for what he does. And we had a great chat with him. So I'm going to head on over and show this video clip. And it is from a musical called Dear Evan Hansen. And Dear Evan Hansen is a complicated musical, but it's basically about a teen boy who who suffers from anxiety and maybe a bit of depression, and how he does things that he shouldn't have done and tells stories that he shouldn't have, but how he kind of battles his depression and anxiety and the difference he ends up making to his community. And so this is a song called Waving Through a Window, and it's something that I think people who have anxiety or depression might be able to identify with. And the actor here is Ben Platt, who's been in a variety of things, but he originated this role and he does an amazing job of it. So I just thought I'd play it for all of you. It's on YouTube. And if you're not into this sort of thing, thank you for joining us today. We'll be back next time with some more stuff. But otherwise, I hope you'll tune into this and give it a listen, and maybe it'll make a difference for you. So here we go. And I'm sorry, I just realized yet again I forgot to hit the little button that'll let you hear the audio. One of these days I'll get used to it. Here we go. thing because I'm muted. So now that I've unmuted my mic, I just want you all to know you're not alone. And although the traditional options may not work for everyone, they are there. There's other options available as well. So you can get stuff through your phone, like I showed, whether it's any of the options that I highlighted or other ones, Talkspace, BetterHelp, whatever, Headspace, Calm. There are things that you can do and people can reach out to, and there's people care. Ring. So we care about you. I care. So don't be a stranger. Get help if you need it. And I want to remind everyone, don't trust Karen on Facebook. She tells lies. She's wrong. Sit down, Karen. No, you can't talk to my manager. I want to talk to your manager, Karen. Your manager. So until next time, you know the drill. No matter what's going on in your life, no matter how much time you're thinking, I should get some help. You know that you need to, you have to keep on gaming. Thanks, everyone. Be well.